What is up, guys? Welcome to Speaker Sports. My name is Sparsh, and today we are going to be talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think now is a pretty good time to say that we should be concerned about the Los Angeles Lakers. Anyways, before we get into this video, please make sure to like and comment on our channel, and don't forget to subscribe as well. And make sure to press the bell for push notifications. That way you're always up to date with what we are posting. Anyways, so let's get right into it. So basically, up to this point, right, the Los Angeles Lakers were sitting at .500. So they had an 8-8 record. Albeit, while LeBron was gone, they were 4-6, right? So LeBron was gone for 8 games with an abdominal strain, 2 other games for injury. And, one of the things I noticed when I was looking at this schedule was that a lot of the teams that they faced were pretty easy teams. And you could also look at where they play these teams as well. A lot of these games were also at home. So they did definitely have that easy sort of start of the season advantage. But the Lakers weren't really able to grasp that and take advantage of that, despite the cast that they have. And now they face the Boston Celtics tonight. And the Lakers were leading at some point in the second quarter, sorry. But in the second half, they absolutely collapsed. They allowed 70 points in the second half, and they ended up losing by 22 points to the Boston Celtics. And this is the Boston Celtics without Jaylen Brown as well. The Boston Celtics have been having their own sort of struggles. That has already been discussed in a previous video. Please check that on our channel. But anyways, one of the things that I'm noticing is that there are just so many problems around the Lakers, and I'm not sure if they're really going to be able to fix all of them, but we can sort of start going around and sort of, I guess we can sort of start pointing some blame towards, okay, who's the one that's really causing all of this, etc. Now, let's start with Russell Westbrook. Okay. I know that a lot of people have been, putting the blame on him only, but, he's not the only one to blame. We'll talk about more others later. But, when we look at Russell Westbrook, right, after Kevin Durant left OKC, we have not really been seeing much playoff success from him since, right? We have not really been seeing him get past the first round, with the exception of when he was in Houston with James Harden, right? We also see the stars that he's played against: Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, James Harden, Bradley Beal, right? Those guys, but still not able to get it out of that first round, right? Like I said, with the exception of Houston. But one of the things I'm noticing with Russ, and this is a repeating thing that we've been seeing over the past few years, right? The triple doubles are great, but the way that he's getting these triple doubles, the way that he's sort of playing, it comes at a really big price because of his play style. And Russ is just being him. He's really fast. He's really explosive, right? He's one of the most explosive players that we've seen in our lifetimes. He might actually be the most explosive player that I will see in my entire life, right? But when you see the pace that he plays, him not slowing down to the game, and his pace not really matching others as well, right? That huge mismatch of pace between Russell Westbrook and his team, right? This leads to a lot of turnovers from him and lots of really bad IQ shots as well. Nothing to hate against Russ, right? I mean, yes, he gets the points, he gets the assists, he gets the rebounds, right? But he's also making lots of turnovers and really bad decision shots in the process, right? Really inefficient play style that he's playing at right now. And it's also really standing out as well because his usage rate is the lowest that we've seen in quite a while, right? Yet he's still averaging a lot of turnovers. I believe it's 5 or something turnovers per game. I am not sure. Yeah, I'll check that out later. But that's the thing, right? When you have a lot of these turnovers, right, giving the other team other opportunities to create some sort of fast break shots, some other transition plays, right, that's going to just keep on getting your lead down, right? And that's going to give the other team more opportunities just to score in the basket, right? And he's going to have to fix that. I know it's hard because this is how he's been playing his whole life, but when you've got stars like Anthony Davis and LeBron James, right? Anthony Davis is the guy that you want to have your offense focused around. LeBron, right? His health, it's starting to decline. I mean, it's just father time, right? You're seeing these injuries like abdominal strains, stuff like these little tweaks in his body. It's happening more often because of that usage and mileage that he has on his entire body, right? So he definitely doesn't want to be that number one guy. It's a better interest to have Anthony Davis be that number one guy. But, Russell Westbrook's going to have to take a step back because of that. And, one of the things that I discussed earlier when the Lakers were sort of discussing the trade for Russell Westbrook, this was before it happened. One of the things that I mentioned in my previous video is that there's so much ball dominance, right? You have LeBron James, and then you're adding another ball dominant guard in Russell Westbrook. That's not the kind of fit that you would need on your team, right? It would be good to have LeBron James, honestly, as a playmaker too, because, you don't want him to be always exerting himself on the offense, right? We've seen from before that when he puts like 200% into his offense, he does take a step back in the defensive end. But LeBron can play defensively as well, and he's one of the better defenders in this league when he does have the ability and chance to put that effort into it, right? Now, I did say that, it just seems so weird having this sort of ball dominant guard added to your team when what you really needed were shooters, right? The Lakers responded to that. They got, Malik Monk. They got Carmelo Anthony. They got Kent Bazemore. They got Kendrick Nunn. I mean, Kendrick Nunn's been out for injury, and Trevor Ariza has also been out for a while too. So we'll see what it's like when they are back, and we can do a further reevaluation on that. But their role players, right? They were added into that roster to be able to shoot the three and make the three ball, right? And once those guys were added, right, one of the things that we notice a lot in mainstream media, they've been saying that, okay, now that they've got these players, this team is going to be able to make it to the finals, right? But the problem is that they're not really making their shots. Carmelo Anthony and Bazemore, those two have been the only ones, or sorry, not Bazemore, Carmelo Anthony and Malik Monk, those two have really been the only bench players that have actually been shooting pretty well for their team, right? I mean, Carmelo Anthony, he's having an amazing 3-point shooting percentage at home, right? He was having like a stretch where he's like shooting like plus 60%. Absolutely incredible, like the way he sort of transformed his game. But that's a totally different story when you see him play on the road, where it's just completely opposite, right? We can't really be having that from the role players, especially if, Russell Westbrook or Anthony Davis has an off night, right? You're going to want the bench players to also be able to contribute to that as well. And Malik Monk, he's been doing fine as well, but other players, they got to step up a bit more, right? And speaking of stepping up more, one of the things that I've also wanted to talk about, especially, is Anthony Davis. I wanted to talk about Anthony Davis a lot because after seeing the Milwaukee game, where he was pretty much, head to head with Giannis Antetokounmpo, you start to really notice the separation of Giannis and AD, where Giannis is literally up in another level and he just keeps on peaking. But AD, while he is more talented than Giannis, I would say, right, he's got a better shot. He shoots better from the free throw line, right? Their defense, they're both really good defenders, right? You could debate on who's the better defender, but AD has more talent, but Giannis has a lot more drive in him, a lot more drive and aggression. You see that he's taking the three-point shot, he's driving to the paint, getting to the rim, taking those free throws. Even if he's not shooting great from the free throw line, he'll still keep on doing that. But what we're seeing from Anthony Davis is that he's settling a lot, right? Taking a lot of those turnaround jumpers, mid-range shots, when he should actually be driving into the paint more and, drawing the fouls, getting to the free throw line a lot more, right? Not settling for the three too much, right? We want to see him get more dominant in the paint, and that's not what we're seeing from Anthony Davis. Especially if he is the main focal point of your offense, right? You're going to want him to be aggressive. You're going to want him to be like LeBron levels of aggressive when LeBron is in like his playoff mode. If Anthony Davis can get in that sort of playoff aggression kind of style, then he could definitely help turn this team around, but we're not seeing that from him. We're really not seeing that from him, and we haven't seen much from him last year either. And if he keeps this up, I am getting a bit more worried, right? Because we haven't really been seeing him do much since LeBron has been out. I mean, yes, he does have those good games once in a while, but then he's also having lots of games where he's just completely passive, right? And another thing that I just sort of wanted to talk about was Frank Vogel, right? Frank Vogel, when he was brought to the Lakers, he was really recognized as a defensive-minded coach. We saw his play style with the PG Pacers. We saw where he was able to bring this team to. And, the bubble Lakers, right? A lot of people want to discredit that championship. But many people also forget that this team was also really elite defensively as well. And that was a lot of credit to Frank Vogel being able to make those rotations for the Lakers in that championship run. But we're not really seeing that. I'm seeing so many sort of rotations where he's got just like a bunch of shooters up there, with Russ or, AD. And it's just like, when I see him making these rotations, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, where is the defense here? We've been seeing the Lakers collapse a lot defensively. We've seen them blowing like 20-point plus leads to like the Oklahoma City Thunder. We've seen them, even have like 40-point quarters scored against them when playing teams like Minnesota. And then we're seeing, like what I said in the previous game when they played the Boston Celtics today, we saw them give up 70 points in the second half. This is not the Lakers' identity. The Lakers are definitely better defensively than they should be. But, we're not seeing that sort of aggression from the role players and from the stars as well, right? I cannot really be putting all this blame on Russ and AD because, you also have to recognize that LeBron did bring these two in, right? He brought AD, they got the championship in the bubble. Okay. Now he wants to focus on having AD as the main focal point in the offense. Okay. So you're going to want AD to be more aggressive. But what did you bring Russ to the Lakers for, right? When the Lakers had chances to get players like Kyle Lowry, Buddy Hield, DeMar DeRozan. But LeBron chose Russell Westbrook instead. Right? Wanting to bring him back to his home in LA. Wanting to give him that home championship, right? That's all nice, right? And that's all nice and flowers and stuff. But the thing is that you've got to recognize that with his play style mixed with your play style, it's not a good fit. You're going to have to ask Russell Westbrook to take a step back. You're going to have to ask him to be, more smart with the decision making, even, let LeBron do some of the playmaking once in a while too, right? Don't let Russ take up all these crazy shots in the clutch where he's hitting like the backboard and other stuff, right? LeBron's going to have to be able to speak to Russ about that. And he's also going to have to speak with AD to be more aggressive as well. Because what I'm seeing so far from the Lakers, it's pretty disappointing as they fall below .500, right? It is 17 games for the season, but like I said earlier, they have been playing pretty easy teams, not gonna lie, and they've had the advantage of a lot of home games, giving them that home court advantage, but they have not been able to capitalize on that, right? And like I said, right, LeBron was out 10 games, but when you have two superstars in Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis, you should be able to close something out, right? Especially against teams like OKC, the Houston Rockets, right? We have not been able to really see a dominant win from the Los Angeles Lakers yet. A lot of these wins that they've been getting are pretty close margins, right? It's about time that we see them turn up the aggression, make better shots, right? Better IQ. And then if they happen to do that, then maybe, I'll be less concerned. But from what I am seeing now, I think now is a good time to say, okay, this is where I would be pretty concerned. Anyways, what are your thoughts about this, guys? Please make sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell for push notifications. That way you're always up to date with our channel, and it makes us more eager to post content for you guys. Anyways, this is Sparsh from Speak to Sports. I'm signing out, and I look forward to updating you guys later throughout this NBA season. Take it easy.